If you're just tuning in, you're watching Weekend Sunrise. We are showing you pictures from the streets of Paris. There has been multiple terror attacks across the city, including explosions, shootings. The latest reports are that 60 people are dead and that death toll continues to rise. Up to 100 people being held hostage in a nightclub in Paris. These attacks hit at 10 p.m. on a Friday night.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And terror is once again on our screens, with the deadliest attack in Europe since the Madrid bombings of 2004, in which 191 people died.
Act of war. Carnage in Paris.
Not surprisingly, the Australian media has pulled out all the stops for the Paris attacks, with an 8-page wraparound yesterday in Sydney's Sun Herald, 12 pages of coverage in News Corp's Sunday Telegraph, and no less than 29 pages in Melbourne's Sunday Herald Sun. Last night, the TV networks also went for broke, with TV specials on 7, 9 and the ABC, full of eyewitness accounts and tales of tragedy, terror and fear. And it wasn't just the media who reacted to Islamic State's barbarity. By Sunday, half the world was painted blue, white and red, with the Opera House in Sydney, the One World Trade Center in New York, the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, Christ the Redeemer in Brazil, the Oriental Pearl Tower in Shanghai, and many, many more. But without in any way suggesting that this reaction is excessive, it's surely worth asking why this attack has struck such a nerve when others have not.
Beirut, also the site of deadly attacks, feels forgotten.
36 hours before the carnage in Paris, as the New York Times reported, 2 Islamic State suicide bombers blew up a market in Beirut, killing 43 people. And the world barely stopped to look.
When my people died, no country bothered to light up its landmarks in the colours of their flag. When my people died, they did not send the world into mourning. Their death was but an irrelevant fleck along the international news cycle, something that happens in those parts of the world.
2 weeks before the Beirut bombings, a plane with Russian tourists on board was blown out of the sky over Sinai, killing all 224 passengers and crew. Islamic State was almost certainly responsible. And 3 weeks before that, 102 peace protesters died in Turkey when suspected Islamic State terrorists blew up a march in Ankara. Yet those massacres created little attention and less alarm in our media. So why is that so? Is Paris just too close to home? Do we feel it could have been us? Is it a shock it's come to Europe again? Or is it something else entirely?
Do French lives matter more than Lebanese, Turkish, Kurdish and Yemeni ones? Were these not 2 heinous, evil, vile acts?
The message that emerges from these twinned events is that some lives matter more than others.
The sad reality is Australia has been here before, and just 11 months ago. A few days before the Charlie Hebdo massacre, terrorist organisation Boko Haram razed the town of Baga in Nigeria, killing more than 2,000 people. The world's media and most of its politicians were mostly silent.
Many Australians have been to Paris, of course. Far fewer have been to Africa or Lebanon. And for most, the cultural links to Europe are stronger. But one of the ways people are made to care is when the media put faces to those who die, as Channel 7's special Stand by Paris did last night. Again, it's something we didn't see or do with the Lebanese, Russians and Kurds who were likely butchered by the same Islamic State. Weeks ago, the shocking image of young Aylan Kurdi did make the world's media sit up and take notice. But since then, around 750 more refugees have died trying to cross into Europe, and we've turned our heads away again. No doubt there's a limit to how much horror and terror we can take, especially when it's so hard to see what we can do. It'll be interesting to see if this time is any different, but we doubt it. Not least because we have so many other important things to read about. And we say that tongue-in-cheek because the biggest story last week before the terror attacks hit home was, wait for it, the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
The new girls in town. Gigi Hadid and Kendall Jenner stretch their wings as they join the Angels for their Victoria's Secret show debut.
Last week's soft porn parade in the Big Apple was huge news around the world. And prior to the terror attacks, the Daily Mail Australia reckoned it was the biggest news by miles.
Pinch me! Australian model Bridget Malcolm can't hide her excitement as she takes to Victoria's Secret runway in cut-out bra and tiny short shorts.
Pretty in pink, Shanina Shaikh shows off her Victoria's Secret body and glowing complexion as she poses backstage in bright push-up bra.
Back to the fuchsia. Nick Cannon and Tyson Beckford arrive at Victoria's Secret fashion show in near-identical pink suits.
The Daily Mail led its website last Wednesday with this US fashion frenzy and had no less than 45 stories about it. Yes, 45. Almost as many as the Paris attacks. It also had 13 stories on the Jenner Kardashian family and some items which brilliantly merged the two.
War is over. Kris and Caitlyn Jenner put tension aside to support Kendall at Victoria's Secret show. And both wear racy little dresses with plenty of leg on show.
But it wasn't just the Mail that went crazy with its coverage. Yahoo 7 had 4 stories up on its site. Fairfax Media topped that with 5. And news.com.au beat them both with 10. Next day, of course, there were also full-page spreads in many of the tabloids. And naturally, it made the nightly news bulletins as well.
2 Australian models have shone on the catwalk at the world's biggest fashion show. Victoria's Secret unveiled its latest collection of stunning lingerie, including a $2 million bra.
So what is news about this? Here we have a lingerie show which happens every year in America, and you can't even buy most of the lines in this country, or not in a store. Yet there were no less than 7 stories on 7 News and Sunrise, and 5 on 9 News and Mornings. So why does the media give this American underwear show so much exposure? No doubt because it comes all neatly packaged, ready to go, and because it has all those semi-naked women, some of whom are celebrities. Yes, as we all know, sex sells. And as creative director Dee Madigan tells mediawatch, it's not just the blokes who love it.
With Victoria's Secret, it is women as well as men. Women like to look at women. We like to look at beauty.
Even so, in an era when beauty pageants like Miss World are incredibly passé, Page 3 girls have long been dropped from the paper, and women dressed up as Playboy bunnies are just plain embarrassing. How come Victoria's Angels are still so hot? Wendy Harmer told mediawatch.
It's an upmarket way to get tits and bums on air or in the papers.
And Dee Madigan pointed out,
It's not tawdry, it's aesthetically beautiful.
but this isn't just Page 3 in the tabloids. It's all over just about every media outlet. And it's masquerading as news. We think it's ridiculous. But John Bastick, who used to edit the lads mag FHM, reckons that everyone likes looking at attractive women and we should just chill out.
There needs to be more fun in the world. I couldn't congratulate them more. Maybe we can get world peace through girls in undies.
Ah, if only it were that simple. And while we're talking about sex, let's take a look at the new Code of Practice for Commercial TV, where the free-to-air networks have long been fighting a battle with the regulator, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, and have come out victorious on almost all counts.
More sex, violence, says TV rules slacken.
M-rated shows to be broadcast an hour earlier under new commercial TV code.
No TV for little kids. New code allows sex and drugs at 7:30 p.m.
Yes, from 1st of December, M-rated programmes containing graphic content can be shown in prime family viewing time, starting at 7:30 p.m. MA 15+ programmes can kick off 1 hour later. The changes come in the new commercial TV code, which was drafted by the networks and has now been approved by the ACMA. And according to Free TV, which represents the industry, we should all be thrilled.
This code is a real win for viewers. It will mean a greater variety of programming while preserving key community safeguards.
In fact, it's a big win for the networks, who've been losing viewers to streaming services like Netflix, Stan and Presto, which are not hampered by these pesky regulations. The networks will now be able to compete on more level terms. But not everyone is happy.
There are quite a few changes and we're really disappointed with all of them, it's fair to say. We did make submissions in the consultation process and we pointed out the various ways in which the new draft code would be disadvantageous for children and families, and that seems to have fallen on deaf ears, unfortunately, and the Australian Communications and Media Authority turns out to be more of a watch kitten than a watchdog, I would say.
And it's not just sex, drugs and violence the watchpuss has let through. It's also relaxed the rules on news and current affairs, where the old code said they
must not present material in a manner that creates public panic.
That rule has been deleted. So, Today Tonight and A Current Affair can now press the button with enthusiasm, as Nine's Weekend Today did on Sunday by asking Pauline Hanson to have her say on Syrian refugees.
And they will be Muslims. Can't we see that these refugees may be cells that have been brought out who have implanted ISIS into these to become refugees who will end up in Australia on Australian soil, and this, it is only a matter of time, will happen in Australia.
And if Hanson were to say that on Today Tonight or A Current Affair, they wouldn't need to show both sides of the argument, because the new code clearly states
current affairs programs are not required to be impartial and may take a particular stance on issues.
These are not the only rules to be scrapped. The old TV code said,
in broadcasting news and current affairs programs, licensees must not portray any person or group of persons in a negative light by placing gratuitous emphasis on age, colour, gender, national or ethnic origin, physical or mental disability, race, religion or sexual preference.
Under the new code, that rule has also been deleted. So they can have Pauline Hanson on even more often, talking about Islam. And there'll be far less comeback on stories like this shocker from A Current Affair in 2012.
Welcome to the Great Mall of China.
I suppose it sounds horrible and racist, but we're being swamped. I don't like it.
The Castle Mall was once an ordinary Australian shopping centre, but now its owners have decided it needs a makeover, an Asian makeover.
After the ACMA found that segment breached the code, Nine took the story down from its website and apologised. But with the clause now scrapped, A Current Affair would be more likely to escape a slap if it did something similar in future, on Asians, Muslims, refugees, or whatever it may be. So, does that matter? Professor Michael Fraser of the Communications Law Centre reckons the answer is yes.
Taking it out of the code could potentially be harmful to the public interest, especially when you combine it with the new code's clear statement that current affairs programs are not required to be impartial. Those two elements of the code in combination have the potential to cause mischief.
Complaining about TV programs is also going to get harder, because a new rule says that only people who watch on broadcast television can lodge a complaint. And why is that? Because
material that appears on an internet site, in social media or on a social media app is not covered by the code.
yes, if you're appalled by a program you see on Catch-Up TV or on 7, 9 or 10's website or on any of the network's Facebook pages, don't bother to write in. You have to have seen it on the old-fashioned telly, which makes a mockery of the ACMA's claim that
the new code reflects the reality that television is operating in a new digital era in which content can be viewed from a wide variety of sources and on a wide variety of platforms.
But there's more. The rules for alcohol advertising have also been watered down, and the new code will make it easier for the networks to bombard us with advertorials like 7's sponsored special on the wonders of Royal Caribbean cruises.
When Todd, Rach and Rosso go cruising.
Currently, the networks have to tell viewers in the programme or the credits that this sort of puffery has been paid for. But under the new code, all they'll need to do is mention it on their website, where most, of course, will never see it. And we can't help but agree with broadcast law expert John Corker, who told us in April,
that's outrageous because there's no necessary connection between the website and the TV program.
Yes, all in all, we reckon the watchdog has rolled over. But not so, says the ACMA.
The new code provides a package of community safeguards appropriate to a contemporary media environment in a way that does not impose unnecessary financial and administrative burdens on broadcasters.
Well, if that is the best it can do to fight for standards on commercial TV, is there really any point in having a regulator? And you can read more about all tonight's stories on our Facebook page or our website, where you can get a transcript and download the programme. You can also catch up with us on iView and contact me or MediaWatch on Twitter. But for now, until next week, that's all from us. Goodbye.